Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, it's time to talk pets, but with a bit of a cautionary tale here with a thing called parvovirus showing itself around the region. Let's talk to Penny Stone, who's Executive Director of the Victoria Humane Society. Penny, how you doing?
I'm doing good. The puppy's not so much.
Yeah, I know. This is no good. So, I mean, I got a dog myself. This is always something that is sad. And most dogs, I guess, are vaccinated for this thing. But puppies are, on the other hand, can sometimes fall prey to this thing called parvovirus.
They don't have enough immunity yet. Typically, if they've got 2 vaccines on board, you're covered. And it's 100% effective. So if people would just get their puppy vaccines, we could prevent this. The numbers are staggering. I was at a convention in Whistler last weekend with all the humane societies, and everybody's seeing it in these numbers. Nobody's seen an outbreak like this ever. We have had 48 cases this year so far, whereas last year we had 4 and the year before we had 3. It's just everybody's got it, and the reality is it's a really painful. The puppies suffer quite a bit, and they need to be hospitalized. And the reality is hospitalization for a parvo puppy is usually around $10,000.
Wow, and it can be quite fatal.
It can be fatal. We haven't lost one yet this year, which has been great, but we've gotten them into the emergency hospital quickly. They have to have IV fluids. They have to be, most of them need plasma transfusions. They have to be on antibiotics. They have to be on stuff that doesn't make them throw up, that keeps them from having diarrhea. So what happens is it attacks the intestines. And so then what happens is, Then what happens is they get bloody diarrhea. They start throwing up. They're lethargic. They don't want to eat. And slowly their body they die. And it's a slow, painful death. And unfortunately, there's a lot of puppies out there in remote communities that are dying from it that we can't get to. So very sad, very contagious. And that's the real kicker in this. If you have a parvo puppy in your home, in your yard, you can clean your house with bleach and that will kill it. But if they go outside, it can stay in the environment for up to 6 months. Ooh. So that's why it's so dangerous, because, you can't have puppies back in that environment. And for all of our fosters who some of these puppies went to, we've lost them as foster homes for 6 months, different places. And this is why, people think, oh, no, it's going to be fine. I cleaned and did all this. We've had 2 parvo puppies surrender from the same house. One 2 months ago, about 3 months ago now. And then about 2 weeks ago, he came and surrendered another one that had parvo because he went and got another puppy. And you just can't do that. It's very contagious, 100% preventable, and a really, really sad disease. And it's a huge outbreak right now, and it's because people have decided not to vaccinate.
So I was going to ask, why are we seeing this? But is that the reason we're seeing less vaccinations? So this disease that usually is kind of kept at a very small number is allowed to grow?
Yes, that's exactly it. And, once a place gets infected, if you're in a remote community and one mama has a litter of pups, the thing is she can step in the spores and go around the remote community and be spreading it everywhere. So it's a very difficult thing to contain once you have it. When the puppies go in hospital, they have to be in isolation. And it was for us when we had, we got 20 that came in that all got it and that all had it. And when there wasn't even enough vet clinics that could keep them on 24-hour care, because we were taking one in, and as one got better, there was room for another one. It was, we had to set up a triage place at one of our facilities so that was all that was happening, was only parvo puppies, and people, had to make sure that they were washed and cleaned when they came and left, so we weren't spreading it. But it's bad, and it's everywhere.
And can I ask about the sort of ages? Because we talked a lot about puppies here. For the most part, that's because of the vaccination status. But I guess if you're an older dog and you're not vaccinated, you could get this too?
You can. We don't see it as often because they've built up immunities at that point.
Okay.
But absolutely, anybody can get them. We've seen a dog. The oldest I've seen is a year, but that's unusual. So get them vaccinated. And, people should be doing their vaccines. I know that it's just like with people. But the science is definitely here for parvo. You will not get it if you're 2 weeks past your second year, you have a booster, and then 1 month later you get another booster, and 2 weeks past that, you will not be getting parvo. So, you know, do the vaccines, keep these animals safe. But unfortunately, now it's everywhere. So people have to be extra cautious because, you know, they could take their dog someplace that someone has walked who's had it at their home. So people think because, you know, oh, well, you know, we can take them here, we can take them there, it's going to be fine. But if someone has, I always tell people, it's like I could walk into a place that has parvo and then I could go to Save On Foods and it could be on my shoes and someone else could pick it up on their shoes and take it home to their puppy. So really important that people vaccinate against it, important that people keep, you know, if they've been in contact with it, they wash everything in bleach. If they have puppies at home that have it, make sure that, you know, you're not spreading it anywhere else.
So, Penny, you know, a lot of people want to take their dogs, a new puppy, down to Dallas Beach and show it off, or Dallas Bluffs, you know, off leash. Can you do that if your dog is vaccinated? Can it still catch a lesser intensity of parvo?
If they're vaccinated, it's fine. If they're 2 weeks past their second vaccine, they're fine. And unfortunately, the catch-22 for all of this is we want puppies out there so they get social. We want them to see other dogs. We want them to see people. You know, they're supposed to, before they're 3 months old, see 100 people and 100 dogs.
Right.
And we used to take our puppies absolutely everywhere because we wanted them social. And the chances of catching parvo used to be so tiny and minute. I'm not going to say it was worth the risk, but it's like never sending your kids to the playground because they might catch a cold. You kind of got to the point where you were like, you know, this is a chance we can take because we don't have it here. But once it came here, that's a huge no-no. They shouldn't be going to the dog parks. They shouldn't be going to remote communities. You have to make sure they're going somewhere safe. Take them to, you know, friends' house who have dogs to socialize them with their vaccinated dogs so that you can, you know, everybody's safe. But yeah, it's a huge problem. It's going to affect socialization of puppies. It's going to affect everything.
Real quick, Penny, just because I got a question here at 7:10:10. This is just dogs, right? No cats, because this texture's saying, hey, how about kittens? It's cats are not affected?
This does not affect cats or kittens or people. This is puppies only.
Okay. Well, Penny Stone is here from the Humane Society, Victoria Humane Society Executive Director, with a serious warning. Parvovirus, this thing that affects the unvaccinated puppies specifically, is really seeing an explosion. And it sounds like it's BC, not just Victoria.
It's actually it's right across Canada right now. They're seeing it everywhere. It's nobody has seen an outbreak like this in like 30 years. It's bad.
Well, check the vaccination status for your puppy. That's the important takeaway here. Penny, by the way, I know it's a bit of a heavy topic, but it's always great to talk to you. Thanks so much for what you do and for talking to us here.
Thank you very much. It's really important people know this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll take a break. 7 o'clock news next on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Hey, good morning. It's 7 o'clock on this Thursday, April the 30th, last day of the month. And it's looking good with sunshine, a few clouds, highs to hit maybe about 20 degrees. We'll give you a full forecast in just a moment. Right now, though, let's talk about the news. Here's Lisa Best.
With summer coming, of course, the one thing we can count on is construction. City of Victoria's Point Ellis Bridge, better known as Bay Street Bridge to most of us, that project remains on track for a full reopening in June, so keep your fingers crossed. A small issue with epoxy and expansion joint delayed a few things for a couple of days, but otherwise, we're still looking at June. Assistant Director of Engineering and Public Works for the city, Ross Kenny, says things are on schedule.
Yeah, so we're still on track for completing in mid-June, and the one thing is that we are still looking at this expansion joint, so there's a possibility we need to switch back to do a little bit of remediation, but we don't believe that would delay us by more than a few weeks. So we are still targeting mid-June, and we really want to get the bridge opened as soon as possible.
We do too. Work on the other side of the bridge is complete as well. Saanich residents have a new way to report non-urgent incidents to police. Here's Chief Dean Duthie to explain.
One of our newest tools is online reporting. It gives community members a convenient way to report certain incidents. It helps us manage calls for service more efficiently, and it ensures the right response is provided in each situation.
The new service is available through the department website, includes clear instructions and examples to help you determine whether the incident is suitable for online reporting or if it's more of an emergency. If it's a crime in progress, something of that nature, someone being injured, call police, immediately call 911. Mediation has failed to help BC nurses in the province reach a new contract. A strike vote among some 55,000 healthcare professionals is expected to come in the next few weeks. Premier David Eby, though, remains hopeful that a settlement can be reached.
We will find a path forward with the nurses. I am convinced of that. That deal will be reached at the bargaining table, and we will ensure that it is a respectful agreement that reflects the hard work that nurses do and respectful of the financial position of the province and our ability to pay for those critical public services like healthcare. And I look forward to resolution of this issue as soon as possible.
Last week, the union said it was reaching out to members for information prior to a strike vote. It's been 6 months since BC unveiled that Look West strategy for economic growth. Jobs Minister Ravi Kahlon says the initiative is delivering investments already.
We have, as the Premier's mentioned, $88 billion in major project investments going forward. And I'm confident that we'll continue to see that number rise in the months and years ahead. This means even more good, stable jobs for people across the province. It means strong local economies and more revenue to support the public services that people depend on.
Callan says the strategy is already doubling the number of major projects being explored to 35. Stateside, looking in on royalty, King Charles and Queen Camilla wrapping up their visit to the U.S. today. Today, the royals will spend time in the state of Virginia and attending a block party for the 250th anniversary of the United States. ABC's James Longman says the King and Queen have a packed schedule, and they did yesterday, too, in New York City.
The King and Queen started their day with a visit to the 9/11 Memorial, laying a white bouquet and a handwritten note to commemorate the nearly 3,000 lives lost. They then parted ways. Queen Camilla was joined by actress Sarah Jessica Parker for an event at the New York Public Library.
We all need stories. Therefore, we all need books.
She took time to read Winnie the Pooh to a group of children.
Would you like to feed the chickens?
Yes, please. Meanwhile, King Charles visited students at urban non-profit Harlem Grown.
And a marathon swimmer just completed a potentially record-breaking swim down under in Australia. Andy Donaldson has become the first man to swim several kilometres up a body of water filled with thousands of crocodiles.
16 hours. The Scottish-Australian swimmer got the idea after he was invited by the local swim coach to the town of Kununurra. And Andy, who already holds 3 Guinness World Records, wanted to inspire the younger swimmers in the area.
One of those messages I think I'd love to get out to people is that no dream is ever too big.
Andy swam unhindered, even taking his water breaks in rhythm. And after just 11 hours and 51 minutes, Andy finally reached land with locals swimming alongside him for the final stretch.
Yeah, no, that's a hard pass, but Andy can have it. That's your news to 7:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question: have you ever hit an animal while driving? It's split 50-50 right now on our website. You can vote there, or on Twitter X, where 62% say they have never hit an animal. iHeartRadio app 2 available too. I'm Lisa Best, your news time 7:07.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning. Hey, it's about 10 degrees right now, on our way to 20 degrees for this final day of April in Victoria, which also is tax deadline day, as somebody just texted me. Hey,
that went fast.
Ryan, it's the last day of the tax season, from Diane. Thank you, Diane. It's a good reminder for everybody.
She must be an accountant.
Yeah.
She can see the barn. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
But as we mentioned, if you are self-employed,
yes,
you got until June. But for the rest of us, working for the man, your taxes are due today.
Got to pay down that deficit federally.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get right on that.
Anyways, full weather forecast coming up. But right now, let's talk about the sports. Hey, Montreal Canadiens with a big win yesterday. Veteran forward Brendan Gallagher scored in his first shift as the Canadiens beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-2 in Game 5 of the first-round series. Gallagher returned to the lineup after spending the first 4 games as a healthy scratch. The longest-serving member of the Habs franchise spoke about his approach to Game 5.
It's the same now as it was my first year in the league. You just take nothing for granted. And I know how good this group is. I know how deep they are. And so, opportunities are going to be limited. Doesn't mean they're not going to come. You just got to be ready when they do.
The Canadiens now lead the series 3-2. They could close it out with a series win tomorrow night in Montreal. Maybe. We'll see what happens. Also, last night, the Pittsburgh Penguins were knocked out. They will now be going home. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins are out after the Philadelphia Flyers had a goal at 17:32 into overtime to lift the Flyers to a 1-0 victory, which clinched the series. Flyers move on. Pittsburgh Penguins are now done. And then tonight, the Edmonton Oilers, they're facing another must-win, do-or-die scenario as they visit the Anaheim Ducks for Game 6 of their first-round Stanley Cup playoff series. Edmonton has been managing to keep its season alive despite going down early down in the series. They had that 4-1 win on Tuesday. That cut the Ducks' lead to 3-2. We'll also see the Minnesota Wild look to eliminate the visiting Dallas Stars in Game 6 of their first-round series. Blue Jays are on the road tonight. They'll visit the Minnesota Twins in Major League Baseball action. Toronto coming off an 8-1 win over the Boston Red Sox yesterday. And the Toronto Raptors with a 125-120 loss to the Cavaliers in Cleveland in Game 5 of their first-round NBA playoff series. The Raptors now face a 3-2 deficit in the best-of-7 series as play is set to return to Toronto tomorrow. That is your sports to 7:10. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather at 7:10 here on a beautiful Thursday morning in Victoria, where we are seeing typical West Shore commute situations play out with volume delays building, and now a potential collision, although I don't know if this is a big thing, but there might be a fender bender on the Trans-Canada Highway, kind of around about the Burnside Road underpass there, on your way to Helmkin, sort of in that stretch between. I don't know if it's causing a huge deal, but if you've got eyeballs on a potential fender bender, Trans-Canada Highway, kind of heading on your way towards Helmkin there in the construction zone, let me know at 7:10:10. Could be a bit of nothing. I don't know much about it yet, so let me know, 7:10:10. Oh, wait. Ask and you shall receive. I just got the text. Hi, Ryan. I am seeing a new accident right at the on-ramp on the Highway 1 southbound. It's the Colwood 6 Mile on-ramp. So that's this texter here wondering if I know anything about it. So I've heard the same thing, texter. If anybody else knows, let me know at 7:10:10. That could be a blip for this morning, but we'll see how it shapes up. Over to BC Ferries. 8 o'clock sailing is your next boat out from Swartz Bay to Swanson, and it's got some room left. Vehicle deck space available. And in the weather forecast, man, it's a beautiful day again. Sunshine, a little bit of cloud here and there. A little wind off the Wantafuka Strait as well, which will make it feel a bit cooler if you're by the water. But otherwise, our high today is projected to be 20 degrees. A few clouds overnight, lows to 9, still a bit breezy. Mainly cloudy tomorrow. A little breezy off the water, but still warm. Highs of 19, maybe cooler by the water. The weekend is a mix of sun and cloud, temperatures into the low 20s, and then that should just kind of carry into next week. It's fairly stable. The kind of conditions we've got right now are more or less what we're getting, except maybe just a bit warmer as we get further into it. Right now, it is about 10 degrees across Greater Victoria. On the markets, well, after some losses yesterday, markets are kind of rebounding a little bit, at least this morning. S&P TSX starting the day up 296 points to 33,615. The Dow in New York is up 366 to 49,228. The barrel of oil actually dropped a little bit, but it's still over $100 US a barrel. Down $1.48 from yesterday at $105.40 US. Canadian dollar up a little bit to 73.3 cents US.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, can you guess that famous TV mom? Here's today's mom.
I am not mad at you because you told me that I snore. I am mad at you because you didn't say anything.
Because I didn't want to get yelled at.
Well, too bad. When you're married to me, you're going to get yelled at many times. You're tough enough to take it.
Oh, who's that mom? If you've got the name of the character, we'll take the actress as well, whichever. We will give you, if we call you, a $100 gift card to the Steamship Bar and Grill because they're doing a Mother's Day brunch. This is our Mother's Day contest. That's why we're doing moms from TV and film. Now the contest again though, you got to text us that correct name, and then right at around 8 o'clock, once we have all of the texts in, we will draw one of the correct answers and call you just after the 8 o'clock news, sports, and weather. And if you're the lucky person who gets called, we'll give you that gift certificate. And if you miss out on today, don't worry. We're doing it again tomorrow for our final Guess That Famous Mom contest.
Yeah, because we want you to win and be a rock star for mom.
You definitely want that.
On next Sunday.
Yeah, next Sunday. That's Mother's Day. Today's tax day. Next Sunday's Mother's Day.
There's no correlation.
Tomorrow's May.
Wow.
There's a lot of things happening.
Yeah, that was April. Hope we enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is it.
Actually, April can go away because the weather wasn't great for us. It wasn't the normal April that we usually have, so I am good.
It's ending nicely, though.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about the headlines because it's 7:15. And time for the news with Lisa.
South Korea-based Hanwha Ocean is offering to build military vehicles in Canada, but only if it lands the Navy's next subcontract. This topic of discussion federally yesterday. The company said it would team up with the Auto Parts Manufacturing Association to produce military equipment, rocket systems, and infantry vehicles. Executives say Ottawa pushed them to explore ways to support a struggling auto sector hit by U.S. trade war. The proposed venture would see Canadian labor and materials with potential to supply both the military and allied exports. A decision on the multi-billion-dollar sub-program could come as early as this year. Soon, Stats Canada is set to release its real gross domestic product figures for February. The Canadian economy has been contending with multiple sources of uncertainty as the Middle East conflict lifts oil prices and turns up the cost for everyday goods for us, including the price at the pumps. The new GDP figure comes ahead of the review of the Canada-Mexico trade agreement coming in July. The agency also is providing the early estimates for the month of March and the first quarter as a whole. We are learning this morning, last hour, that the Stats Canada says the real gross domestic product did rise 0.2% in February, led by a rebound in manufacturing activity. Initial estimates suggest the economy may have stalled in March. Experts say the families of the Tumbler Ridge mass shooting victims launching lawsuits in California makes sense. Tech firm OpenAI and founder Sam Altman now faces 7 wrongful deaths lawsuits over their alleged role in the mass shootings. While the shootings took place here in BC, the plaintiff Canadian lawyers decided to pursue the lawsuits in California, partially because Canadian courts cap damage for pain and suffering. An American lawyer representing some of the victims says they will seek more than $1 billion US in their legal action. That's your news to 7:16.
Thank you, Lisa. Coming up in just a few moments, we're going to get into some BC politics. You may have seen talk about polls on the Conservative leadership race online, or even from one of the campaigns themselves. But there's a new piece out by the Thaïs Legislative Bureau Chief that suggests you may want to take this data with a grain of salt. Why? Well, Andrew McLeod is going to join us in just a moment, legislative reporter, to talk about what he's found with the polls. That's coming up in just a moment. We're also going to do our traffic and weather in just a moment. If you happen to see what's going on the Trans-Canada Highway, right kind of around the Colwood on-ramp, kind of going back onto the highway, around about there is where we have reports of a fender bender. Still trying to nail down what's going on there, so watch out for potential slowdown. And if you got any updates, and you can do a text hands-free or safely or in whatever way you can do it, you send us a message and let us know what's going on there. We'll check the rest of the traffic next. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather now. We've been looking for updates on what's going on the Trans-Canada Highway. There's apparently a fender bender, and this is what we're hearing from a texter saying, just a fender bender in the center median. Drivers are exchanging info. So it doesn't seem like a major crash, just something small. But it's Trans-Canada Highway, kind of near the on-ramp, the Colwood on-ramp heading southbound. And when I say south, I know that's always weird because you're actually heading east at that point. But, Trans-Canada Highway heading into Victoria is where that's at. It doesn't seem to be causing a huge issue, and thank you so much to our texters for letting me know what's going on there. That's the only real blip, other than the fact that the paving is on again from Cook Street between Bay and Hillside. This is happening from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. all day, all days this week. It's still open. It's just slow and restricted because of the work, and they're putting in those bike lanes and everything. They've got more of this coming next week, which I think is going to cause even more of a disruption. So watch out for continued road work on Cook Street. And now to the weather, where it is a sunny day with a few clouds, highs up to 20 degrees, a little cooler by the water, where we'll get some breeze off the Wanda-Fuka Strait.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Joining us now, he's the legislative reporter with the Tyee, Andrew McLeod. Andrew, how you doing?
I'm well, thanks, Ryan. How are you?
Great to talk to you. So we've been talking a little bit this week about the Conservative leadership race in BC politics because they had their debate, of course, back last Friday. We're in a little while going to get to a vote to pick one of these 5 BC Conservative leadership candidates to take the torch from John Rostad, who was the initial leader. But yeah, they're figuring all that out. In the meantime, a bunch of polling obviously being done about this race and which of these Conservative candidates is doing well and what have you. But you found some interesting stuff about those polls. Take us through your story.
Yeah, I wrote about this. I guess it came out earlier this week. I think the race has sort of changed phases, right? Like there was an early phase where they were signing up members and trying to figure out what their messages were and trying to figure out, well, who was going to be in the race. Remember, at one point there were going to be 11 people
it was big.
in it, and I think we're down to 5 now. So there was a bunch of polling early on. Now we're in the phase of all the memberships. Anyone who joins now can't actually vote in the leadership, so the sign-up period is done. They've had a couple debates, and a few more weeks when they start voting, and then we'll find out who won on the 30th. And of course, everyone wants to know who's going to win, right? Like there are 42,000 Conservative members who presumably are engaged in it, but I think for most British Columbians, they just want to know who the leader of the official opposition is going to be and what's it mean for the province. But so far, I'd say the polling, there's been a bunch of polling that's been made public and some that hasn't been made public. At least 4 different companies working on it. And I had an interesting conversation with a couple people. One who is somebody who taught research methods for 4 decades, a guy named DJ Sandhu, who sort of sparked the story. And then also with Kito Madji from Main Street Research, who actually confirmed a lot of the criticisms that Professor Sandhu had. So they were things like, basically all the surveys had problems. Things like order bias, where they didn't, list the names alphabetically the way they will on a ballot. Instead, they'd put, their favorite candidate up first. I saw some where they didn't even have all the candidates. They at a point where there were 11 people in the race. They were polling on 3 or 4 of them, and then they were publicly saying, "Hey, look, this poll says our candidate's going to be the most popular." There were things like categories that weren't exclusive. Like they would ask, "Have you been a member for 1 month to 6 months, or 6 months to 2 years?" So if you've been a member for 6 months, what do you say? Some of the surveys were long. There was one that had 12 different issues, and you had to rank 5 different candidates on it. So you end up having to enter 60 things or something. So there's a well-known phenomenon where people get exhausted partway through a survey and abandon it. So it makes what they get out of it not all that useful. And yet they'd be out there in public saying, "Hey, our survey found such and such." Double-barreled questions. You ask people to rank things like jobs in the economy, which are actually separate things, but ask them to rank it together, or anything, those kinds of things where they lump things.
But I guess the bottom line out of all of this is you got all of these Conservative leadership candidates who can all show a poll saying, "I'm the leader," or like their campaign can say that.
Exactly. And I think that's what they wanted early in the campaign, right? Is they wanted to be able to show some kind of momentum, to show that they were growing, a way to sort of attract support. So it wasn't a reflection of what was actually happening in the race, but it was something that would push it in a certain direction. The other huge thing. So I called after talking to Professor Sandhu. I thought, okay, I need to talk to somebody who's actually polled in this race, and maybe can give me perspective on it. And so I called Kito Madji at Main Street Research, and he disagreed with a bunch of things that Professor Sandhu said, but one thing he added in was that a huge problem was that the lists that they had early on weren't complete, right? So at this point, there are 42,000 members. Earlier in the campaign, so Kito was polling for Peter Milobar's campaign, and what they had was the original membership of the party, which was around 7,000 people, and then they had the list of people that Peter Milobar's campaign had signed up, which was a few thousand more. So they had maybe 13,000 people are so to poll. Now there are 42,000 members. So the people who are in the party now and the people who they had on their list were not the same people. Plus, the people they had on their list were biased towards, these are people who signed up through Peter Milbar's campaign, so they had no idea who had signed up through any of the other campaigns. So they sort of automatically were biased that way. Anyway, and I think this is a known thing, but then it still helped them to be out there and be able to say, hey, look, our guy is, competitive. Anyway, it becomes a way of building support instead of actually measuring what support is out there.
Yeah, so all of these polls may be a little questionable, but I can see why you want to do that again, because you want to show your candidates as the leader or as a contender, because I guess you can kind of almost create your own sense of that. You want that sense of momentum and that sense of being a going concern, I suppose. Even if that's going the wrong way, like you're not finding that because of the poll, you're trying to create that because of a poll.
Yeah, it shapes a narrative. And, of course, they're selective in what they release, right? They ask all kinds of questions, and then they release the responses to the ones that are useful to them.
Now, do you think this is important in the bigger picture? Like, why should be this is the final question for you, we got to go, but, why should we be worried about this or be concerned about these kind of polling shenanigans?
I think in a leadership race, it's important, right? Whoever wins may end up being the next premier. So it does matter. Did they get there, through some kind of a campaign that was about issues and honest, or did they get there through a campaign that manipulated people by presenting, I'll call it misinformation to the public. And I think it's good to have a reminder. We often treat polling as a scientific thing, and we've seen in this province before. Like, you'll remember the 2013 election where none of the polls predicted the result, but people in our business as reporters or the pundits and the political folks, they all rely on it, and the public too to some degree, and it does shape a narrative. So I think it's always good to remember that these things, they're created by people, and it's an art and a bit of magic as much as it is a science. So there are better and worse ones out there, and we should probably always be treating them with some skepticism.
Andrew, thank you for this. You can read Andrew's story in The Tyee. He's the Legislative Bureau Chief with The Tyee, and it's always great to talk to you. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
All right, we got to take a break. The 7:30 News is next on CFAX 1070.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vassy Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vassy Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vassy Capellos. Weekdays 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which is
on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning at 7:31 on Thursday, April the 30th. Final day of the month, and it's looking good with sunshine, a few clouds, highs up to 20, but a little cooler by the windy one to Fuca Strait today. Full forecast to come, but right now the news begins. And we say good morning to Lisa Best.
Good morning. Update on that crash in Souk late Wednesday morning. Happened just for the noon hour. Souk RCMP say a driver and a passenger have non-life-threatening injuries after the vehicle they were in rolled. It ended partially on the road, having to close that road for about an hour. Two men, 59 and 44, taken to hospital. RCMP and Souk say the cause is still under investigation, but alcohol and drugs were not believed to be a factor. Cook Street, the site of the latest city road project, causing headaches for drivers. Victoria's Assistant Director of Engineering and Public Works, Ross Kennedy, says he understands, but this is going down between Bay and Maplewood.
So we're going to be repaving the street, replacing rusty traffic signal poles, and upgrading our hardware in the traffic signals. And we're also going to be making a number of safety improvements, so a number of new pedestrian crosswalks, along with protected bike lanes.
Kenny also says the Point Ellis Bridge, or Bay Street Bridge project, remains on track to wrap up and open for you in June. There was a small issue with epoxy and expansion joint delayed for a couple of days, but he says you can sign up for updates on the work and watch progress at the City of Victoria website. Colwood, the latest community to embrace e-scooters and e-bikes if you're looking to avoid the gridlock in the afternoons in that community. Evolve says 60 of them will be available for riders to use at 15 parking stations dotted across the municipality. Evolve is already providing service in Langford and Saanich. To the soccer pitch, where Premier David Eby met with the commissioner of the Major League Soccer to discuss the future of the Vancouver Whitecaps.
The Whitecaps have shown absolutely no interest in taking over BC Place. It's not a moneymaker for the province. It's an important, critical institution, I would say, for hosting many events, including Lions and Whitecaps games. We haven't seen that. I'll be meeting with the head of Major League Soccer today. I'll be asking him, what is it? Can we get a specific proposal from you or from the Whitecaps team about what it'll take to stay and to do our best to see what we can do?
Vegas has been sniffing around the team. We'll keep you posted. The province marking the 6-month mark in its Look West strategy with a news conference today. Jobs Minister Ravi Kahlon says $88 billion worth of proposed major projects are expected to create thousands of jobs in the next 3 years across BC. He says they're already moving on some of the new projects.
Today, we're sharing that we're doubling the number of priority projects from 18 to 35. We're also doubling our trades training for up to $240 million in this budget. We're making sure that the people of British Columbia have the skills they need to take the opportunities that we see coming forward.
Premier David Eby announced he will lead a trade mission to China shortly to try to attract more investment to Canada. And stateside, by a 2-to-1 margin, Americans oppose the president's plan to build a White House ballroom. Stephen Portnoy has the latest from Washington.
The ABC News Washington Post Ipsos poll shows 56% of Americans oppose the tearing down of the East Wing to build a ballroom. The level of opposition is twice the level of approval at 28%. A federal judge has ruled building the ballroom without congressional approval is illegal, but that ruling is now on hold pending a hearing in June at the D.C. Circuit Appeals Court. Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul tried this week to advance a bill that would authorize the ballroom, but his unanimous consent request was blocked by Senate Democrats.
If you haven't filed yet, today is the day for your income tax return. It's a deadline, April 30th, though self-employed Canadians have until June 15th to file. Tax experts say while the deadline may feel daunting, missing it can be costly too, whether you owe or not. They say filing on time and using that free CRA-approved software can maximize your chances of getting the best return. That's your news to 7:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking if you've ever hit an animal while driving. It's about 50-50 right now on our website. You can vote cfax1070.com, Twitter X, or the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 7:36.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, everybody. The only traffic thing we've been dealing with this morning was a bit of a fender bender on the Trans-Canada Highway heading in towards Victoria near the Colwood on-ramp. If you got any updates there, send me a text at 71010. We have sunshine and highs of 20 in the forecast. We'll get you a full sense of that coming up, too, just in a moment. But first, over to the sports, where the Edmonton Oilers facing another must-win game tonight as they visit the Anaheim Ducks for game number 6 of their first-round Stanley Cup playoff series. Edmonton, of course, managing to keep its season alive with that 4-1 win on Tuesday, cutting the Ducks' lead down to 3 games to 2 in the series. They could get eliminated tonight, or they could force a Game 7. So that's what the Oilers. Elsewhere, Minnesota Wild look to eliminate the visiting Dallas Stars in Game 6 of their first-round series. That's the other game tonight. Last night, Pittsburgh said goodbye to the playoffs. They were eliminated by the Philadelphia Flyers. The game was a 1-0 win for the Flyers in overtime, and that clinched the victory for the Flyers. The Pittsburgh Penguins and Sidney Crosby are now done for the season. Also, yesterday, Montreal Canadiens picked up a pivotal win. They saw a 3-2 victory in Game 5 over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Montreal now gets a chance to advance on home ice tomorrow. Elsewhere in sports, Toronto Blue Jays are on the road tonight visiting the Minnesota Twins in Major League Baseball action. This after yesterday, Toronto had a 8-1 victory over the Boston Red Sox. Toronto Raptors are off today after falling 125-120 to the Cavaliers in Cleveland in Game 5 of their first-round NBA playoff series. The Raptors now face a 3-2 deficit in their best-of-7 series as play returns to Toronto tomorrow. Also, Raptors All-Star forward Brandon Ingram left last night's game and did not return due to right heel inflammation. A team spokesperson says he's been struggling with this injury throughout the series, and we'll watch and see how that shapes up and plays into the playoffs. That is your sports at 7:39. By the way, we're going to talk about some of these things and more, including what's going on with the playoffs, how the Canadian teams are doing. All of this coming up with Sports Guy Steve, who's going to join us with his sports editorial in a few minutes. So don't go anywhere. That's coming up along with the traffic and weather. Hey, the CFAX Morning Show is brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season and big savings on your heating bill, talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. On the roads, we're still tracking that fender bender on the Trans-Canada Highway heading in towards town by the Colwood on-ramp, sort of coming back onto the highway. A little earlier, texters were indicating that it was just a small fender bender. Drivers seem to be exchanging their information, so I'm not sure if it's cleared up yet or not. It still seems like it's a little slow going through that area. Maybe just aftermath. I'm not sure. If you got eyeballs on it and you can text me hands-free and safely, do so at 71010. Paving work continues on Cook Street between Bay and Hillside, causing obstructions throughout the day right up until 7 p.m. tonight. And the next week they're going to be doing this again as well. So that's not a finished project. And it's causing some more trouble today and tomorrow. For the BC Ferries, no sailing waits for the weather. Wow, it's a summery kind of day. Sunshine, highs up to 20. We'll see a few clouds too, but, you know, on the sunnier side of things. There is some wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait in the forecast. It's going to make it feel a little cooler if you're by the water, but otherwise that 20-degree high for today. And for the overnight forecast, a few clouds, lows down to 9, then clouding over a bit for tomorrow, so slightly overcast Friday, but still warm and getting back to a mix of sun and cloud and even warmer on the weekend. On the markets, okay, yeah, we're still seeing a bit of a rebound on North American stock markets, at least the big ones. S&P TSX up 288 in Toronto to 33,606. The Dow in New York is up 513 to 49,375. The Canadian dollar at 73.3 cents US, which is up a little bit from yesterday's close. And the barrel of oil at $105.09 US a barrel. It's down $1.79 from yesterday.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
All right, let's help everybody out again with our contest today. Can you guess this famous TV mom? Here's another chance.
No one knows this, but for the first year of his life, I made up money like a girl and told everybody that he was my daughter. But just for a few times. I didn't want to mess with his head. When he found the pictures, I told him that it was his twin sister who died.
There's no therapy required after that. Totally normal.
Mothers.
Okay, so can you identify that famous TV mom? You can text us at 71010 with the name. We'll take the character, we'll take the actress, whatever works for you. And then coming up pretty soon, actually, you don't have too much longer. Come around 8 o'clock, we will pick a name out of all of those text messages, one of the correct answers, and we're going to call you right after all the 8 o'clock news, sports, traffic, weather, all of that. So make sure you're ready to pick up the phone, because if we call you, this is what you're going to win. You're going to win a gift certificate worth $100 to the Steamship Bar and Grill, where they are doing a Mother's Day brunch for Mother's Day, which is not this Sunday, but next Sunday. They got complimentary mimosas for Mom, Lisa.
How many?
Oh, yes. I did.
How many does
I didn't ask that.
She raised you. How many does she need?
Well, it might only be one unless you buy another one for Mom.
Extended lunch, you know?
Yeah. It's our Mother's Day contest powered by the Steamship Bar and Grill. Can you guess that famous TV mom?
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to be talking sports with sports guy Steve in just a moment. He's got thoughts on a lot of the stories we're talking about, but there's one I want to just slip in real quick here.
Okay.
You know how we've, of course, are going to be hosting the FIFA World Cup. Some of the matches,
yes.
You know, some of the games will be in Vancouver. So I've just learned
what's that?
That if you are in Vancouver on SkyTrain or on the buses, they've got like a voice that tells you, you know, the stops that are coming up.
Yeah,
they
civilized.
They are redoing the voice for the FIFA World Cup in Vancouver. Guess who's going to be the voice?
No clue.
Christine Sinclair.
Oh.
One of Canada's most famous soccer players.
Well, that's super smart.
She, of course, did 6 World Cups herself in women's soccer.
Huh.
And she is going to be the voice of transit all across the Vancouver area during the World Cup, which I think is really cool. So Christine Sinclair will be the voice you hear on SkyTrain and buses.
Does she get to say things like hurry hard and, well, that's actually
wrong sport,
curling.
yeah.
Well, you know me. Things like Mind the Gap, like they do in Britain.
I hope so. Can I tell you, so you know
yes,
how
you can. This is, you take all the time you need, Ryan.
You've caused me to tell a story. So in London, of course, Mind the Gap is the famous line that you hear on the automated voice on the tube.
Correct.
And usually
Which
it's
is
this
the subway.
Usually it's this pleasant but stern British female voice.
It is?
That tells you to mind the gap.
Okay.
But there was, when I was in London for a little while in my youth, there was one line, the Northern Line, that particular tube. For some reason, it was this really angry sounding British man who would just yell at you to mind the gap.
Yeah.
And everyone else was pleasant. And then this guy was like, mind the gap! Except in British. I can't do the accent.
I wonder how she's going to do it. So
I
have
hope
a serious soccer voice on, the pitch voice, or
yeah, like you're getting a red card. That voice.
Wow, the mom voice.
The mom
using
voice.
your full name, even the middle name. Sit down.
Speaking of moms, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of moms, we're doing the Mother's Day contest.
Oh yes, of course.
Sorry, it's a callback. Yeah. Sorry.
It's Thursday. It's 7:46.
News time.
Synapses are not firing that well. Where's
News
our
time.
mimosas?
Let's get to the news. Here's Lisa.
I'll save you. Saanich residents have a new way to report non-urgent incidents to police. Saanich Police launching an online reporting system through their department website. It includes clear instructions and examples to help you determine what incident is suitable for online reporting and what incident requires you to call 911 immediately. Another boil water advisory issued for the Wilderness Mountain water system. That's in East Souk. The CRD Island Health says residents in the impacted area should be boiling their drinking water for a full minute until further notice before you use it. Water quality may have been compromised due to the high turbidity water originating from the Wilfrid Reservoir. This happens quite often. I'm sure people in the area, unfortunately, are used to this. The boil water advisory will be lifted when Island Health is satisfied that drinking water from the taps is clear enough again. At least 42 ships have reportedly been turned away by a U.S. naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. The head of the U.S. Central Command said that since the U.S. began turning back the ships, there's now over 40 tankers with 69 million barrels of oil that the Iranian regime can't sell. So we know it. Admiral Brad Cooper says that's an estimated $6 billion from which Iran's leadership cannot financially benefit, at least not for the moment. That's your news to 747.
Sports guy Steve joining us in just a moment with his take on the Stanley Cup playoffs, which are really heating up, and some other issues as well, all coming up next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Design Victoria is April 30th to May 7th. Full schedule and ticket prices at designvictoria.ca. Sign up and support the Walk for Alzheimer's, Sunday, May 31st at Fisherman's Wharf. More info at walkforalzheimers.ca. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured. Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Set the table for the weekend with BC Food and Wine Radio, pointing you to great wine buys, outstanding restaurants, insider stories, and all things connected to our amazing food and wine scene. Listen every week as Anthony Gismondi sits down with top winemakers, star chefs, proprietors, and more from all over BC and around the world. Don't miss BC Food and Wine Radio with Anthony Gismondi, Saturday afternoon at 1, right here on CFAX 1070.
Let's do the CFAX 1070 traffic and weather, where we had a bit of a snafu on the Trans-Canada Highway heading in towards Victoria at just at the Colwood on-ramp. I haven't heard anything else about it for a while, so I'm going to say it's probably clearing up. The last I heard, there was a fender bender, some information was getting exchanged, and hopefully they've cleared up that Trans-Canada Highway southbound collision. But if it is still a problem, you can let me know at 71010. Paving work on Cook Street between Bay and Hillside continues. And for the weather forecast, we're looking at a sunny day. A few clouds here and there. Little wind off the Wandafika Strait, which is going to make it feel cooler if you're by the water, but otherwise 20 degrees is the high. A few clouds tonight, lows to 9, and then tomorrow a mainly cloudy day, but still warm, highs of 19.
The lineup in his first offering. Touch the ball, Joe. The golden goal.
It's Sports Guy Steve.
Oh my goodness.
What did you say? You heard me.
Here's Sports Guy Steve. Just a bit outside.
Yeah, he is Sports Guy Steve joining us to talk all things sports. How you doing, Steve?
Good.
good to be back with you.
I'm so glad to get you because actually there's a bunch of stuff on my mind. The Whitecaps in the news because there's all of these worries that the MLS soccer team here in BC, in Vancouver, might be moving, and the Premier now weighing in, trying to figure out what we can do to keep the team. So we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to talk hockey because we're right in the middle of the NHL playoffs. We saw the Pittsburgh Penguins eliminated last night. The Edmonton Oilers are desperately trying to cling to this thing. So much excitement going on right now. Steve, you've got some thoughts on how these playoffs have shaped up and maybe one of the reasons they're going the way they're going.
Well, I look at Edmonton, for example, and how much hockey they've played over the last 3 years. So they've gone to the Cup final twice in a row. So that takes you into June. And now you're asking the same guys to get you back a third straight time. And it wasn't such a big deal when the Montreal Canadiens and the Islanders did those kind of things in the past. But I really see some of the key players that played in the Olympics having a rough time with their health because they've just played so much hockey, and a rough time. They're just out of gas. Like, I see Connor McDavid, and there are flashes. But there are also, he hurt his ankle in the first game. It was a game-time decision for the last game. And I see when Connor's at his best, he doesn't try a lot of prayer plays. And by prayer plays, I mean, this probably isn't going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway because we need a goal. He doesn't try a lot of those normally. And he usually plays pretty high percentage hockey. And I see him giving up the puck at the blue line a lot with the prayer play, hoping it's going to go through somebody's skates to the guy that's open. And those kind of plays, maybe 10% success rate. He usually doesn't do that on a regular basis. I've seen that throughout the series. And I just think he's tired. He's played, like I said, 2 Stanley Cup playoff finals, had like a month off, goes to Canada camp, goes into the regular season and training camp, goes right through that. 3 days after the gold medal game, they're back playing hockey on this side. And interestingly enough, Brady Tkachuk, the captain of the Ottawa Senators, who, of course, won the Olympic gold medal, is basically saying, I never got on track after the Olympics. I think we're seeing that maybe either you reduce the schedule in Olympic years or you figure something else out, because I just think so many of the guys are just so beat up and tired, and adding that intense, couple of weeks in the middle of the season has just made it even worse.
So what you're saying is, we're watching an interesting playoff period in the NHL because a lot of the best players are exhausted and beat up because of this Olympic break, which on one hand, I mean, I was thrilled by during the Olympics, like having the real best players, having those NHL players there for Team Canada and all the other teams, just I thought added a level of excitement and enjoyment to the Olympic hockey experience. But at a cost, I guess, with everybody beat up for the NHL playoffs. I don't know what's the better option, though. I guess what you're saying is maybe there's some way to balance this better next time this comes around?
Yeah, don't compress the games. Maybe make the season shorter. I certainly want the NHL best on best in the Olympics. No question about it. But, an easy skater like Quinn Hughes is still struggling for Minnesota in the playoffs. He's not the best defenseman on his own team, and we saw how good a defenseman he was on Vancouver for years and years. And he's not that right now. And he's one of the guys, I think, that's just out of gas.
Well, with that said, one quick little dive into the Oilers tonight. Connor McDavid, as you mentioned, maybe looking a little tired, but his team's clinging in to this. They got a game tonight. Do you think they can pull this off? Because this would be quite the come from behind if they are able to pull it off.
I think that there's a possibility they can, but so much of the Oilers' success links back to the goaltending, and they still haven't fixed that over the years. And it's not like they can take a night off and the goalie bail them out. They don't have that kind of goaltending. So it really comes down to how well Connor Ingram plays. And, is it 100% no? Do I think they can do it? Absolutely. I think they can do it because I think they're the more talented of the two teams, and playoff experience means something. But I just, when your goaltending's that questionable and you really don't know what you're going to get, it is problematic.
Okay, I want to sneak some soccer in here because one of the big stories in BC specifically has been around the Vancouver Whitecaps. On fire again. I mean, they went all the way to the final last year. They're second in the league right now in the MLS. The Vancouver Whitecaps on the field are a going concern. But for some reason, there's this risk that we could lose the team. And earlier this week, there's this report suggesting if the team can't find owners willing to keep it in Vancouver, because the thing's been for sale for a while now, and nobody seems to be willing to buy it and keep it in Vancouver. This report came out saying possibly another alternative is for somebody to buy it and move it to Las Vegas. That was a report that came out and caused a huge stir earlier this week. And now we got the Premier, David Eby, talking to Major League Soccer because the commissioner, his name is Don Garber, he's in Vancouver right now because of the FIFA stuff that's going on. And apparently the two of them met, and Eby came out saying it was constructive. We're at the table fighting hard. So he's saying, we're trying to negotiate and find a way forward. What do you make of all this and the situation that the Whitecaps find themselves in?
Well, I think at a certain point, when rich people buy sports teams, it's a little bit of a toy, right? And sometimes you get tired of the toy. And the attractiveness of the toy in this case is the value. So when they bought it, at a reasonable price, that was before the balloon in valuations on soccer teams. So, now they can get, return on investment over the years, but they can't get that in Vancouver because there's no stadium. BC Place is a, functional stadium. It's not the kind of one you take huge revenue out of. It doesn't have some of the amenities, and they don't own all the amenities because it's a provincially owned building. I thought it was really interesting yesterday when they asked the Premier about this, because there had been rumors that the Whitecaps wanted to take over BC Place, and he said, no, they've never said that. So I do think they want a new stadium, but trying to get a new stadium out of a Canadian government compared to a U.S. government is two entirely different things.
Do you think that's the real issue here, is that, Canada, as taxpayers, we just don't fund giant sports complexes like they will in the States?
I would say sometimes we do in certain areas, and it's more likely to be a hockey arena than anything else. But, football stadiums, other than in Regina, no, we don't do that kind of thing. We might throw a little bit in. We might give the land. We might do those kind of things. But we're just not as willing to write the big check, right? And take on the debt or put a tax on hotel rooms to finance it, all the kind of stuff we see in the States. Tampa's probably getting a couple of new stadiums, for instance. And in both cases, the local government there says, okay, we're going to just put a tourist tax so the tourists end up paying for that. I think we're far less likely in Canada to do those kind of things. I'm not saying it doesn't happen once in a while, but it's rare. And the other thing I'd point out is once you lose a team, you're not getting it back.
Yeah, you can see why BC officials and the Premier are like, no, we can't let this happen. But what do you do? Yeah. What do you do? I don't know. So we'll see where it goes. We're right out of time. Steve, that's a crazy story we got to follow with the Whitecaps, and we'll be watching the rest of the NHL playoffs from here, and we'll talk again soon, Steve. In fact, we'll hear you on the news later this afternoon.
Look forward to it.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:02 on Thursday, April 30th. A little late for the news. Let's get right into it. Here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, and good morning. Prime Minister Mark Carney has chosen former Cabinet Minister Jonathan Wilkinson to serve as Canada's next ambassador to the European Union.
The Prime Minister's office says the MP has proven experience, judgment, and leadership to advance Canada's partnership with the EU. Wilkinson previously held cabinet positions, including Natural Resources Minister and Environment Minister under former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The announcement comes as Carney is set to become the first non-European leader to take part in the European Political Community Summit when he heads to Armenia this weekend. When Wilkinson steps down to take the ambassadorial post, a by-election will be triggered in his Vancouver area riding. Naira Ahmed, The Canadian Press.
The head of the Iranian soccer was denied entry to Canada for FIFA meetings ahead of the World Cup, which begins in June. Correspondent Gethin Kuba has details.
Canadian Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says it is her understanding that Iranian soccer officials were denied entry into her country ahead of the FIFA Congress meeting in Vancouver. Anand says the denial was unintentional. Iranian news agency Tasneem reported that Iranian Football Federation President Mehdi Taj and two other Iranian officials were denied entry due to inappropriate behavior of immigration officials at Toronto's Pearson Airport. Also, the Vancouver Police Department says a request for FIFA President Gianni Infantino to be given a police escort while in Vancouver has been denied. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
The next step in the province's Look West economic strategy includes a trade mission to China. Premier David Eby says he will follow up on the Prime Minister's efforts to diversify economy.
Building on the Prime Minister's trade mission to China, I am heading myself to China as well to follow up. We will be visiting Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. And currently, we are engaging with a table of business leaders with expertise in China to advise us to ensure that our mission is as successful as possible.
The announcement comes at the 6th-month anniversary of the launch of Look West. The province announced a doubling to 35 the number of major projects being targeted as part of the effort. And young Canadians want artificial intelligence companies to make their chatbots less addictive. That according to a new report published by McGill University. It's one of a series of recommendations made by youth between the ages of 17 and 23 who took part in roundtables across the country. Other recommendations include requiring social media platforms and search engines to have an easy opt-out option for integrated AI technology, and calls for new government body to evaluate systems, audit algorithms, and enforce safety standards. And that's your news to 8:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Have you ever hit an animal while driving? 62% are saying no. On Twitter X, you can vote CFAX1070.com, social media, or the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 8:06.
Thank you, Lisa, and good morning. Welcome to Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us and making it a part of your day as we talk about the news, but also identify famous moms. Can you identify this one?
You mad at me or something?
I don't know. Did you do something to make me mad? Because then I am. But if you didn't, then I am not.
I didn't do anything.
Then I am not mad.
if you can guess that famous TV mom, we're going to call one of the texters at 71010 who have correctly made the identification in just a few minutes and give that winner a $100 gift card to the Steamship Bar and Grill, because it's Mother's Day, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, and we would like to send you with that gift card to Mother's Day brunch.
Nice.
That's coming up, so stand by for the call, but right now let's get to the sports. And in sports, the Edmonton Oilers face another must-win game tonight as they visit the Anaheim Ducks for game number 6 of their first-round Stanley Cup playoff series. Of course, we saw Edmonton keep its season alive with that 4-1 win back on Tuesday, the stave-off elimination. Elsewhere, the Minnesota Wild can eliminate the Dallas Stars in their series with a victory at home in game number 6. Montreal Canadiens last night moved within a win of advancing to the second round of the playoffs. They had a third-period goal that proved to be the winner in a 3-2 victory over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Montreal can clinch it at home tomorrow with one more win. Toronto Blue Jays are in Minnesota to open up a series versus the Twins. Toronto coming off a solid 8-1 victory over the Boston Red Sox yesterday. For tonight, Kevin Gausman will get the ball for the Jays to start. It's a day off for the Raptors. The Cleveland Cavaliers downed Toronto 125-120 last night to take a 3-2 lead in the team's best-of-7 playoff series. The Raptors all-star forward Brandon Ingram also left the game and didn't return due to what they called a right heel inflammation. Toronto will try to stay alive tomorrow at Scotiabank Arena in game number 6. And Canada's completing the preliminary round at the World Mixed Doubles Curling Championship by facing Czechia and Switzerland, who are the hosts this year. Canada enters play tied with Italy for tops in Pool B at 6-1. The Canadians hold the head-to-head tiebreaker against the defending champs. And that's your sports to 8:09. Sorry, I have to keep you waiting there for CFAX traffic and weather. I just happened to have been calling one of our winners who texted the correct famous TV mom at some point this morning. Sorry, okay, we'll get to that in a moment. Hang on the line there, winner. We'll talk to you in a second. But first, let's talk about the traffic and the weather. So we're actually clearing up a little bit. We had a collision on the Trans-Canada Highway earlier today, which is now cleared. So that is moving normally. As an example, it's taking you, if you're going from, say, the West Shore Town Center area of Langford, so kind of right around the mall there, it's about a 40-minute drive right now to get into downtown Victoria, which is, it's better than some Thursdays. For BC Ferries, we got no sailing waits. And for the weather, it is a sunny day with a high of 20, a little cooler by the water. We got some wind blowing off the Juan de Fuca Strait today. That's been kind of the case all week. So it's really a very similar forecast to the last few days, except a little bit on the warmer side. A few clouds tonight, lows down to 9, still a bit breezy, mainly cloudy for a Friday, but then back to a mix of sun and cloud for Saturday and Sunday. And by the weekend, temperatures are into the low 20s, so keeping on sort of gradually warming as the days go on. To the CFAX 1070 business news now. Checking the markets. We're still seeing a bit of a rebound day after some losses yesterday on major North American stock markets. The S&P TSX is now up 364 to 33,682. The Dow is up 610 to 49,472. The Canadian dollar is at 73.5 cents US, which is up from yesterday's close. Barrel of oil is at $106.16 US a barrel. So still remaining over that $100 a barrel mark.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
And yes, in honor of Mother's Day coming up, we are playing a game here called Guess That Famous Mom. If you can do it right now, $100 gift card to the Steamship Bar and Grill for their Mother's Day brunch, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. I've got somebody who texted over the course of the morning with the correct name. Let's see if Lynn is on the phone. Hello, is that Lynn?
This is Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
How you doing, Lynn?
Hi. I'm doing really well. Thank you.
Well, I hope that you're going to be doing even better because I would like you right now, officially, to identify this TV mom.
No fighting in front of the baby. We just made a deal.
Yeah, but that's unfair because I am always in front of the baby.
You're as close to perfect as a woman gets. Nothing wrong with one tiny little flaw. Yours is when you start to sing, it sounds like something got stuck in the vacuum cleaner.
That's your
Lynn, who's that TV mom?
It is Gloria, of course, from Modern Family.
That's a winner. It is Gloria, played by Sofia Vergara on the show Modern Family. That is fantastic. Hey, Lynn, I was just thinking about something, and Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
So in Modern Family,
Yes.
Gloria is married to, the character played by actor Ed O'Neill, who was also the guy who
Right.
played Al Bundy, who was married to Peggy, who was another one of our famous TV moms this week. I just put that together in my head. He's shown up as married to both of these
Right.
characters on TV. That's kind of fun.
He likes the spirited women.
Apparently, yeah.
Lynn, are you a spirited woman?
I am.
Well played.
Fit right in.
And who are you taking to brunch with you?
My daughter. I'm the mom, but she's also a mom. So, yes, I would like to take my daughter.
I actually love this. We haven't had it go that direction. The mom taking the kid to Mother's Day.
Doesn't sound like a kid, though.
That's true. Yeah. If they've got there's generations going on here.
Exactly.
Your daughter
But
first-time
she's
mom?
a hardworking mom. Nope, she has 3 of them.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you guys need a break then.
We do.
And you could do it with a $100 gift card to the Steamship Bar and Grill for their Mother's Day brunch. Lynn, I'd need you to hold on the line because we're going to get some information off you off the air. But congratulations again, and thank you so much for playing.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right.
Congratulations.
We got one more of these tomorrow. So we've had Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek. We've had Peggy Bundy from Married with Children. We've, of course, today had
Gloria.
Sophia. Sorry, I was going to call her Sofia Vergara. That's the actress. Gloria from Modern Family. And we've also had Kitty from that 70s show.
Was very funny, too.
Those have been our famous TV moms. Who will be the mom tomorrow for our final round? We'll have to wait and see. Stay tuned. Right now, it's 8:15. Time for the headlines with Lisa.
Thank you. Canada's next ambassador to the European Union will be set as MP and former Cabinet Minister Jonathan Wilkinson. Prime Minister Mark Carney making the announcement this morning with his appointment set to start this summer. Wilkinson says the world has changed dramatically since he was first elected back in 2015. He believes his new role is the best way he can contribute to the country's long-term interests. He previously held cabinet positions under former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, including natural resources portfolio and as well as the environment portfolio. Stateside, the U.S. president says the U.S. will continue to its naval blockade of Iranian ports. The blockade has reportedly turned away at least 42 ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Iran's new supreme leader says the country will protect its nuclear capabilities as national assets. That's the major sticking point to any kind of an agreement between the U.S. and Iran. A flotilla organized from Montreal says 2 Canadians were detained by Israel after the boats they were sailing on were intercepted overnight during a mission to break the nearly 20-year naval blockade of Gaza. The Global Sumed flotilla identified the Canadians as two people from Montreal. Organizers spoke from Sicily, saying the interception disrupted plans for them and 5 other Canadians who were set to join the flotilla, which launched from Barcelona earlier this month. He says 22 boats were intercepted west of Crete, more than 500 nautical miles away from Israel and Gaza. And that is your CFAX headline news to 8:17.
Well, thanks again to Lynn for winning our contest today. We got another one coming at you tomorrow, so stand by for another Guess That Famous Mom contest. Right now, though, we're going to change gears, and we're going to head up island. Lots happening in Nanaimo right now. Crews are tearing up and reworking a major parkway roundabout, which is causing a buzz in the community. There's also a few other stories that are making the headlines in Nanaimo. So we thought it would be time to check in with the hub city. So that's coming up in just a few moments. We've also got your traffic and weather updated too, all next. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show here brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. If you need a cab, download the new Bluebird Cabs app at Bluebird Cabs Ltd. They're proudly local and Canadian owned and run since 1946. Well, we got the paving work on Cook Street between Bay and Hillside ongoing until 7 p.m. today. It's going to happen again tomorrow. As Lisa was saying, she tried to drive through there yesterday. It is often quite a backup trying to get around there, and also the side streets like Quadra. Actually, that's why you tried Cook Street yesterday, right?
Yeah, I Blanchard, tried Quadra, and I thought Cook, and everybody dumps over to Fernwood if they can. Yeah, it's not fun. You've got to pack your patience for it.
It's going to be another day of that on Cook Street between Hillside and Bay. But other than that, no crashes or accidents or other specific problems on the morning commute. If you see otherwise, text me at 71010. For the BC Ferry picture, it's looking pretty good too. No sailing waits. 9 o'clock next from Swartz Bay to Tsawwassen. And the weather is looking fine with sunshine, a little bit of cloud, and a little bit of wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait. Otherwise, it's 20 degrees as our high temperature today. A few clouds tonight, lows down to 9, and then a mainly cloudy day tomorrow, but still warm with highs up to 19.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Joining us now, he's the mayor of Nanaimo, Leonard Krogh. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you.
Always love to just sort of touch base with Nanaimo and see what's happening in the other big city of Vancouver Island. And one of the things that's going on in the news right now is to do with some road work that people are curious about. The Beban Parkway Roundabout project is getting a bit of buzz in the community. Talk about what's going on here.
Well, unfortunately, and it's fallen to the general contractor, Windley Contracting, who are doing all the repairs at their own cost. But the concrete apron and the islands at the Bevan Park roundabout that were installed as part of our major Midtown Gateway project last year has to be replaced. There's been cracking discovered during the warranty period. Tests in the concrete showed that it didn't meet the engineering specifications. The engineers looked at a variety of options and have decided, frankly, it just needs to be removed and replaced. So it's unfortunately going to close the area for a month, April 27th to May 27th, in order for the concrete to cure, reach its full strength. It's very disappointing, I must say. We have been very proud of that project. It provided a magnificent entrance to Bevan Park, frankly, one of our major used areas, because we have major buildings there. The Vancouver Exhibition is held there. We have pickleball courts, which, as everyone in Victoria knows, are incredibly popular. Yeah. Tennis courts, mini golf. So, it's not a happy story, I must say. And I know that drivers are going to be frustrated, particularly as the spring rolls up. But I guess I could be cheeky and say, the good news is if it discourages people from driving, given the ridiculous price of gas, they'll save a little money. And that's my black humor for this morning.
Oh, man. Now, like you said, this is something that had already been done. It's getting replaced because it was defective. Have you figured out what happened? Like, what went wrong with the first go?
I can't honestly tell you. The cracking was discovered. It may be the way the concrete was cured. It could be something underground, but it doesn't meet our engineering specifications for the strength that's needed. And, this is a really good example of how well our city in particular and communities, cities in general in this province are served by the people who work in engineering, who do the work on behalf of the citizens, that they ensure that the product the people pay for is going to meet the standards that are necessary.
Now, you've already described it a little bit, but for folks who aren't in the Nanaimo area, can you describe where exactly this is and how kind of important of an intersection this is?
It's very important. It's a very important intersection. If you were coming, for instance, from the other direction, so to speak, from BC Ferries in Departure Bay, you would come up Brecon Hill. You might once you get onto the Old Island Highway, turn left and get onto Northfield, and Northfield would take you straight out to the Parkway. Northfield intersects with Bowen Road, a major road in our community. If you hung a left on Bowen in a block just at the edge of the plaza there, Bevan Plaza, you would be entering the area where the roundabout is located. So it's a pretty important thing. It's not fatal to traffic, but it's going to be a pain in the posterior for lots of folks.
Okay, major issue in Nanaimo right now is they have to redo that road work. Again, the Bevan Parkway roundabout, the roundabout. Okay, so that's going on. Also, a big to-do in Nanaimo over the weekend. You had the premiere up there. What was going on?
Oh, well, Todd and Jocelyn Maffin, who last year created out of pixie dust in some ways an amazing event called Infusion in Nanaimo, basically put out an invitation for Americans in particular to come and visit beautiful Nanaimo, encouraged healthcare workers to come. I think, the estimate was sort of 300 to 500 last year gathered in Maffeo Sutton Park, one of our major waterfront parks. Picture was taken. It was a very casual affair. It wasn't meant to be political. It's just a way to say, look, we have friends across the border. We're a friendly and welcoming community. Come and support our tourism sector, visit our community. And if you're interested, please consider coming to work in healthcare. This year, the estimate is more like 800 or 900 people showed up. And the Premier himself, I'm sure, no doubt, looking for a cheering, happy audience, given the political circumstances of today, appeared with all the three local MLAs. And by that, I mean Ladysmith Oceanside, Nanaimo Gabriola, and Nanaimo Lanceville. Unfortunately, from my perspective as mayor, it was the Association of Vancouver and Coastal Communities annual general meeting in Victoria.
Oh, so you had to be down here in Victoria.
All the municipal politicians were down there. Well, and people said, well, why didn't you drive back up? And I said, well, with great respect, the ratepayers in Nanaimo were paying me to do my work in Victoria, and that was more important.
Did anything come of it, though? Like, did you get a lot of Americans coming?
Oh, look, yes, absolutely. On Friday, I had occasion to be at the hospital, for instance, and ran into two groups of healthcare workers who were being toured in the hospital, spoke briefly to both of them, also to a mom and her trans child outside who was coming close to an interview with Global TV. High degree of interest. I mean, look, I think the fact the Premier came indicates how successful it has been in terms of attracting medical talent to Vancouver Island in general, but Nanaimo in particular. Certainly Island Health has been fully cooperative and should be. I'm old enough to say this. The Vietnam War drove a lot of American talent north of the 49th parallel and helped build a better Canada. And I'm afraid the Mad King in the White House is doing exactly the same thing from an American's perspective. From a Canadian's perspective, we are welcoming people who want to live under a public health care system, who want to live in a country where, you may not agree with your leadership, but my God, they're not an international embarrassment.
A successful event over the weekend trying to get Americans who are interested in coming and even working here in healthcare happening up in Nanaimo. We're talking to the mayor, Leonard Krog, and we're right at a time. Thank you so much for sharing updates on these stories with us.
A pleasure. Always happy to talk about my city.
Yeah, very good.
Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, beautiful.
Cheers.
Beautiful day in Nanaimo and Victoria as we keep up the news for what's going on. I just think it's great to sort of touch base with all of these communities on Vancouver Island and see what's going on. But right now we're going to get the 8:30 report with Lisa next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Design Victoria is April 30th to May 7th. Full schedule and ticket prices at designvictoria.ca. Sign up and support the Walk for Alzheimer's, Sunday, May 31st at Fisherman's Wharf. More info at walkforalzheimers.ca. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured. Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:30 on this Thursday, April the 30th. We are looking at a sunny day with a few clouds and a little wind off the water. Otherwise, a warm, summer-like day in store. We'll get you the full details in a moment. But right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
We could make a game of it, a board game perhaps, keeping track of the construction around town. The City of Victoria's Point Ellis Bridge project remains on track for a full reopening in June, so fingers crossed. A small issue with epoxy and an expansion joint delayed things for a couple days, but Public Works engineer, Assistant Director of Engineering, Ross Kenny says they're on schedule.
Yeah, so we're still on track for completing in mid-June. And the one thing is that we are still looking at this expansion joint. So there's a possibility we need to switch back to do a little bit of remediation. But we don't believe that would delay us by more than a few weeks. So we are still targeting mid-June, and we really want to get the bridge opened as soon as possible.
We do too. Work on the other side of the bridge apparently is complete. Saanich residents have a new way to report non-urgent incidents to police. Chief Dean Duthie explains.
One of our newest tools is online reporting. It gives community members a convenient way to report certain incidents. It helps us manage calls for service more efficiently, and it ensures the right response is provided in each situation.
It's available through the department's website. It includes clear instructions and examples to help you determine whether the incident is suitable for online or if it's something more serious. If it's a crime in progress or someone being injured, call 911. Mediation has failed to help BC nurses and the province hammer out a new contract. A strike vote among 55,000 healthcare professionals is expected now in the coming weeks. Premier David Eby says he remains hopeful that a settlement will come.
We will find a path forward with the nurses. I am convinced of that. That deal will be reached at the bargaining table, and we will ensure that it is a respectful agreement that reflects the hard work that nurses do and respectful of the financial position of the province and our ability to pay for those critical public services like healthcare. And I look forward to resolution of this issue as soon as possible.
The union last week said it's reaching out to members with information prior to that strike vote. It's been 6 months since the province unveiled the Look West strategy for economic growth. Jobs Minister Ravi Kahlon says it's delivering.
We have, as the Premier's mentioned, $88 billion in major project investments going forward. And I'm confident that we'll continue to see that number rise in the months and years ahead. This means even more good, stable jobs for people across the province. It means strong local economies and more revenue to support the public services that people depend on.
Kahlon says the strategy is already doubling the number of major projects being explored to 35. How safe is AI? We keep questioning it. Some people love it. Some people find it sketchy. And there's varying degrees of that. Well, a tech CEO claims an AI tool wiped out all of his company's data in 9 seconds.
The AI had deleted Pocket OS's entire production database. The company was able to restore the data, but only to the most recent backup from 3 months ago. It comes as experts raise the alarm about the growing power of AI. Earlier this month, Anthropic said one of its new models, Mythos, placed in a secure environment with no internet access, managed to break out. Elon Musk predicted that artificial intelligence would be smarter than humans as soon as next year.
And getting a little into sports, ahead of Ryan here, Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn says she's not sure if she'll race again.
Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn is still recovering after she fractured her leg during the Winter Olympics in February. She spoke with the Associated Press.
I mean, I'm not someone that dwells on the past. I try to analyze what happened and move forward. This was a little bit harder to move past.
The 41-year-old Vonn says she has had 8 surgeries since sustaining the complex leg fracture and needs at least one more to repair a torn ACL in her left knee.
I have at least, I would say, a year and a half ahead of me before I can really be back to 100%, even just training in the gym. And so I don't know. I really haven't broached the subject with my doctor on what, if I were to ski again, what that would mean.
I'm Donna Warder.
Well, she's tough. And that's your news to 8:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question: have you ever hit an animal while driving? 54% saying yes on our website. You can vote at cfax1070.com or in the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 8:36.
Thank you, Lisa. Let's take a quick look at the weather. If you are heading out into the day, you can expect a very summer-like day with a mix of sun and cloud. Highs up to 20, but cooler by the windy Juan de Fuca Strait. Full forecast to come. Right now over to the sports. Hey, let's talk about the Montreal Canadiens. Veteran forward Brendan Gallagher scored on his very first shift last night as the Canadiens went on to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-2 in Game 5 of that first round series. The goal from Gallagher came after he returned to the lineup after spending the first 4 games as a healthy scratch. The longest-serving member of the Habs franchise spoke about his approach to Game 5.
It's the same now as it was my first year in the league. You just take nothing for granted. And I know how good this group is. I know how deep they are. And so, opportunities are going to be limited. Doesn't mean they're not going to come. You just got to be ready when they do.
The Canadiens lead the series 3-2 now. They could close it out tomorrow night in Montreal. Also last night, Montreal might have won and kept themselves going, but the Pittsburgh Penguins couldn't quite do it. So the Penguins are out after Philadelphia had a 1-0 victory in overtime. Cam York scored the winner at 17:32 into overtime to lift the Flyers 1-0, clinching the victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins, who were trying to come from behind to keep things going. But they are now out. Tonight, the Edmonton Oilers face another must-win game when they visit the Anaheim Ducks for Game 6 of their first-round Stanley Cup playoff series. Edmonton managed to keep its season alive back on Tuesday with a 4-1 win, cutting the Ducks' series lead to 3-2. What else is happening in the world of sports that is not hockey? Well, let's talk about baseball. The Toronto Blue Jays are in Minnesota to open a series versus the Twins. Toronto coming off a big 8-1 victory over the Boston Red Sox yesterday. For the game tonight, Kevin Gausman on the mound for the Jays, at least to start. Day off for the Raptors. The Cleveland Cavaliers downed Toronto 125-120 last night to take a 3-2 lead in the best-of-7 first-round playoff series. And Raptors All-Star forward Brandon Ingram left the game and didn't return because of right heel inflammation. Toronto will look to stay alive tomorrow at Scotiabank Arena in Game 6. That's your sports to 8:39.
Thinking about home renos, but the cost is too high? Think again. Explore affordable DIY options from ProTech Exterior Products at beahomepro.com.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather at 8:40. We've got a fairly typical looking commute at this point in the day. West Shore volume delays are starting to ease off a little bit, but from the West Shore town center area of Langford all the way into downtown Victoria, that's taking you about 35 minutes now. It was 40 minutes just last time I checked, so it seems like it's starting to ease up a little bit, as it often does by this point in the morning commute from the West Shore. There's the paving on Cook Street between Bay and Hillside in action again today. It'll be tomorrow as well, and actually next week. So continue to watch for delays for that area. And then for the weather forecast today, it's going to be a sunny day with a few clouds here and there. Highs of 20, but feeling cooler by the water, where there'll be some breeze blowing off the Juan de Fuca Strait. It's kind of the same story for the next few days. Maybe a little cloudier for our Friday. The weekend, mix of sun and cloud with temperatures into the low 20s, and even into early next week, it seems to be pretty much the same thing. Right now, for the temperatures, we are already at 11 degrees at the Victoria International Airport. On the markets now. In Toronto, S&P TSX up 367 to 33,685. The Dow up 582 to 49,443. NASDAQ up 43 points. S&P 500 up 30. The Canadian dollar is at 73.5 cents U.S., which is up a bit from yesterday. And the barrel of oil is down a little on the day. It's down to $104.34 US a barrel, but still over that $100 a barrel mark.
What are the limits of human knowledge?
Welcome to the Nerd Lab.
Yes, science!
CFAX science stuff.
Science! Yeah! Blinded me with science!
I don't know what that means.
With Ryan and Lisa.
It's time for a science story. Lisa, what do you got for us?
I have a question to start for you, Ryan, and I want everybody to think about this one. When's the last time you shook someone's hand?
Oh, I mean, I'd imagine it was very recently, within the last couple of days for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, because I did there's a hack poll around the office. Some people really had to think about it the last time they shook someone's hand, because think about it. The pandemic made us all,
Sure, yeah. There was a lot of elbow bumping for a while there.
Fist bumping.
Lots of
Even that
fists.
was kind of sketchy for a while. But yeah, we didn't touch. And now when I go to shake someone's hand, I'm actually hesitant for a moment.
Okay.
'Cause I'm going, oh, this is bona fide. We can do this again. I still have that little trigger. So did you see the hand swap that occurred between King Charles and the U.S. president earlier this week when they first met?
And I didn't see it myself, but I do know Donald Trump is famous for some of his handshake shenanigans.
Right. He has a habit of pulling the other person towards him. Well, Charles has had a lifetime of doing this, right?
If anybody has shaken a lot of hands, it is the king.
Oh my gosh. Like his handshaking finesse is tucked firmly under his crown, and he was not having any of that. Right? He was not, and it was a little bit of a standoff. You could see there was a little bit of tension there. But Charles hung on and didn't give him an inch. And
so did he literally try to yank the king's hand?
You can see it.
Oh.
And you can see the pressure in the hand. And I thought, good for you, Charles. Right? Don't take any nonsense. Because we've seen the U.S. president, we've seen it do it to Trudeau, we've seen it do it to Macron in France, did it quite a bit. So historians say, I went back, did a little digging. This started 3,000 years ago.
Handshakes?
The 5th century. It was a physical sign of peace to show that we weren't carrying a weapon. During the Roman...
You're extending your unarmed hand.
Right.
Okay.
To show that there's not a knife or anything in it. During the Roman era, we started grabbing the forearm. You know when you do that when you meet someone and you emphatically want to shake their hand, so you actually grab their forearm?
Yeah.
That's to ensure there's no blade up their sleeve.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It makes sense. They didn't have a concealed weapon. The way you shake... Big importance. In North America, because other countries are different, too limp, what's that a sign of?
Yeah, we don't like a limp handshake in North America.
Weak, right? Too strong, it's overbearing.
Yeah, you don't want to be a jerk about it.
If it's too short or they just grab your fingers, it's icky too. That's disrespect, that's disinterest. And if you hold on too long, well, it just gets awkward now, doesn't it?
Like, okay, when is this going to be over?
Right.
We're done here.
So... Founder of Social Skills, Faye de Monchant, explains what you should do.
You should be standing up when you shake hands. You want to make sure that you're touching the web of the other person's hand. Be sure that you give a firm grip. Instead of dropping your hand after you introduce yourself, make sure that you are shaking for the entire time that the other person is introducing him or herself. Make sure that you're standing up straight with your shoulders back. You should be looking at the person the entire time. Smile is a really important part of making a good first impression as you shake hands. It actually makes you seem a lot warmer and a lot more friendly.
Just a few things to remember, right?
That's a lot.
I know you're going to have to unpack all that later. That's the etiquette as we get into, okay, we're back into handshaking again, and it's a real thing. It's taken a few years, but when I shake someone's hand now, it's like, oh, that actually feels quite intimate, but not too long.
And eye contact.
Crucial.
And firm, but not too firm.
And whatever you do, don't pull the person towards you.
Yeah, don't do that.
That just gets awkward. That's your science stuff.
All right, well, let's get to the headlines. What else is going on? Here's Lisa.
There is a boil watery advisory in place again for the Wilderness Mountain water system in East Souk. The CRD Island Health says residents in the impacted area should be boiling their drinking water until further notice. A full minute rolling boil will do. The water quality has been compromised due to high turbidity water originating from the Wilfred Reservoir. Island Health, once the water is clear again, will put out another notice and we'll keep you posted. Experts say the families of the Tumbler Ridge mass shooting victims launching lawsuits in California make sense. Tech firm OpenAI and founder Sam Altman now faces 7 wrongful death lawsuits over their alleged role in the mass shootings. While the shootings took place in BC, the plaintiffs, Canadian lawyers, decided to pursue the lawsuits stateside, partly because Canadian courts cap damages for pain and suffering. A U.S. lawyer representing some of the victims says they will likely seek $1 billion U.S. in their legal action. An elusive street artist, Banksy, has hit again, this time in central London, claiming responsibility for new sculpture. The statue features a man striding off plinth with his face covered by a flag. Banksy posted the video Instagram account today showing snippets of how it was installed in the dead of the night. That's how he works. Before his confirmation, locals and tourists speculated the sculpture near Buckingham Palace was his work due to the signature at the base. Known for spray painting buildings, Banksy's street art, of course, has gained global fame, often selling for millions, but he has never publicly revealed his identity. That's your news to 8:47.
Also in the news, the community up on Mount Washington hit with a fire this week. One of the chalets was burning. That's according to the Oyster River Fire Rescue, and their fire chief is joining us to talk more about what happened and how big of a deal is this for the community up at Mount Washington. That's next, right after traffic and weather.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which is
on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. At Thrifty Foods, Happy is delivering smiles and groceries in your neighborhood. Order online at shop.thriftyfoods.com and eat happy. Traffic and weather, we're starting to see the West Shore commute volume ease up a little bit compared to its peaks earlier in the day, but still a bit of a slowdown as usual. And for the rest of the city, it's looking like the Cook Street paving between Bay and Hillside continues to be the major thing, although it's not causing as big of a problem as it has. It's still flowing. It's just not fully flowing. There's still traffic moving there. It's just slow because of all the work, mostly to do with the bike lane paving along the sides. If you see any updates elsewhere, give me a text at 71010. 9 o'clock sailings next at BC Ferries. No sailing waits. And in the weather, sunshine with a few clouds. Little wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait. And a high of 20 degrees is what you can expect out of today. But that temperature will feel a little bit cooler by the water. Right now, we're officially at 11 at the airport.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Reaching out to Mount Washington here on Vancouver Island, where there was a chalet fire at the ski resort this week, and we're going to touch base with how that all went with the fire chief at the Oyster River Fire Rescue Center, Bruce Green. Sir, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. It's doing all right. Bit long day yesterday, but we're recovering today.
Yeah, I can imagine. So this was like early in the morning. You got called out to a structure fire. It's in the ski resort sort of chalet area, that little village at Mount Washington. Is that where this was?
Yeah, there's the Alpine Village and lots of houses up there. This one was on Foster's Place, and about 8 years ago there was another significant fire on Foster's Place that ended up taking out 3 chalets. Fortunately, with the response that the firefighters did this year, we were able to minimize the loss, and unfortunately one chalet was lost, but we were able to save the 2 adjoining chalets to it.
And was it the one that was on fire was fully lost?
Yeah, we got the call at 12:30 in the morning, and when I got on scene, it's a 3-story building, and the top floor was fully engulfed in flames. So our priority at that time became saving the 2 exposures, which were the 2 chalets on either side of that one.
Now, this is the time of year where I guess these are not as occupied as they would be at a peak ski season. Was anybody in this unit?
Yeah, and I think that was what led to a lot of this was the time delay in us getting called. There was nobody living in that one, and like you mentioned, after the ski season ends, a lot of the people that live up there head out to their normal houses because they're not skiing anymore. So I think the call coming in was when people noticed that the flames were already coming out of the house, so it makes it more challenging for the firefighters.
Do we know how this one started at all?
No, we were up there yesterday and looking, and unfortunately there were still too many hot spots because it was a tin roof. When the tin roof falls in, it makes it unsafe for us to go in there and protects all the stuff. So we're still putting out hot spots as of last night, and we are intending to go up there this afternoon to continue with our investigation.
Now, for people who don't know, Mount Washington up at the ski resort, there are homes in this little village that people live in sometimes just temporarily, but it's not. It's a bit of a remote area in a sense. How does firefighting work for Mount Washington in this area?
So currently right now, Oyster River Fire Department, which is down the hill, 25 minutes away, is managing the fire service up there. We're in the process of building a fire hall up there, with construction going to start end of next month, early June, to put all of our fire apparatus up there. And currently we have a C-can up there that has a UTV that has tracks on it and a trailer, so we can drive around and put equipment up there, which was used and very effective on that fire the other day.
But so improvements coming, and I guess is the area growing to the point it needs that extra firefighting, or is this something you've always needed?
Anytime you have a community that's developing, you need the community decides what service they want, and they've decided they want fire service, and they're willing to up their taxes to have that. So we've been working on that, but as the community develops and grows, the more people you have, the more risk there is, the more chance there is for injury, and that's where the fire department comes in to help keep that community safe.
Now, you weren't alone, though. I guess you had some help yesterday. Talk about the assistance you had in fighting this fire.
Yeah, with the way it works is Oyster River Fire Department, Oyster River is the main fire department. We have a satellite fire hall in Merville and the satellite one that we're building at Mount Washington. So we had crews from Merville and Oyster River as well as Mount Washington crews all attend that fire to extinguish it.
Well, there you go. An overnight fire on Foster's Place near the Mount Washington ski resort, setting this chalet ablaze. The unit itself destroyed. However, the surrounding ones were protected and saved, and the fire is mostly out, although some hot spots are still being dealt with. Still trying to figure out the cause of the fire, but that is the situation so far. Anything else we missed about this case up on Mount Washington and what those next steps are?
Well, as I said, the fire is a fire, and it's something the community wants us to protect from. But that's where we rely on the community, because it is a volunteer fire department, and it's a small resort area, so we need members. So if there's anybody that lives up there, part-time up there, becoming a volunteer firefighter up there will greatly help the protection of that community. So, and also, none of our responses are possible without our partners. So we had BC Hydro come up there to make the scene safe for us, and BC Ambulance come up to make sure there's no injuries, and also if there's anything happens to the firefighters, they're there. So we want to thank those partners for helping us in that response as well.
Are there a lot of folks who live up there full time?
Around, from what I heard, there's around 100 people that live up there full time, but like in busy seasons, probably 1,000 or so.
Huh. Interesting stuff. Well, hey, Bruce Green is the fire chief for the Oyster River Fire Rescue team that is up on Mount Washington, and talking about their eventful night. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me. You have a good day.
All right. Yeah, actually, timelines are funny, because this is 12:30 in the morning yesterday that this breaks out. That's around about the time that meteor went overhead. Did anybody see that meteor? Was streaking across the sky in that wee hours of I guess that was yesterday morning. A lot of dash cam footage or doorbell cameras, all those recording it. A lot of people reporting having seen this. We did speak to Randy Ankin, a local astronomer, earlier on the show today, who mentioned it did fly right over Vancouver Island. Like sometimes you look up into space and you don't know how far away these things are. I guess it was directly overhead of us. Probably crashed in the Pacific Ocean somewhere after flying over the island. And for a brief moment, though, it was a huge bright light in the sky streaking across.
And there are reports of these things making contact with houses and people. And, it's extremely rare, but it's always a good idea to keep watch on the heavens.
Yeah, for sure. And it was also interesting. We asked about the color, because some people said it looked green, and then it looked orange.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the material in the meteor, or whatever the object is that re-enters the atmosphere, combined with the atmosphere itself, will do different colors. So if you're wondering why it was green, it's because some substance was in this meteor that burned that color.
Wild.
Yeah.
Still something to see with the naked eye. Well, if you saw it, or if you're, even if you caught it on your home video, still something amazing.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening, everybody. Lisa's got your 9 o'clock news next, and I'll be back with you tomorrow. Talk then.